Stop what you're doing right now. This is the story nobody saw coming. Jaguar Wright, the fearless voice of neo-soul, has just dropped a bombshell about Jim Jones, the Harlem rap icon. Fans are in shock as secrets are revealed that were meant to stay hidden behind closed doors. Why was Jim Jones, a man who built a rap empire, suddenly cut off by his own family? What betrayal lies at the heart of this shocking fallout? Tonight, we go inside the story, the hidden alliances, the family tension, and the music industry drama that nobody talks about. From loyalty ripped apart to friendships tested, and the raw truth that could change everything you thought you knew about these two stars. This is drama at its finest. By the end of this video, you'll see the shocking events that even the biggest fans never saw coming. Don't scroll past, the truth is more intense than any rumor. And it's finally coming out. The music world never sleeps. But today, the industry woke up to a storm that no one could have predicted. Jaguar Wright, the soulful powerhouse from Philadelphia, known for her fearless voice and unfiltered opinions, just shook the very foundation of hip-hop and neo-soul. Fans across the world were scrolling through social media when her explosive interview dropped, revealing the shocking truth about Jim Jones, the Harlem rap legend whose name has been synonymous with street credibility, chart-topping hits, and an empire built from nothing for years. Jim Jones had been a household name in rap, a member of the iconic Dipset crew, a man whose presence on the East Coast rap scene commanded respect and fear in equal measure. But behind the fame and the flashy lifestyle, whispers of tension had circulated quietly. Whispers that now Jaguar Wright brought into the spotlight. In her bold, no-holds-barred way, she disclosed why Jim Jones, despite all his power and influence, had been suddenly and completely cut off by his own family. The scene is set in her private studio, a space filled with vintage microphones, gold records, and shelves lined with albums that tell the story of a woman who fought to make her voice heard in a male-dominated industry. As she sits down for the interview, the camera closes in, capturing her determined gaze. "People think they know Jim Jones," she begins, her voice steady but sharp. "They see the music, the fame, the lights, but nobody sees what's happening behind closed doors." She recounts the first signs of trouble, the family gatherings where tension replaced laughter, the private phone calls left unanswered, the moments when loyalty was tested but found wanting. Fans were stunned. How could someone with such a powerful reputation, someone who had survived every battle in the music industry, be abandoned by the very people who should have had his back? Jaguar Wright explains the industry dynamics that made it even worse. Jim Jones' rise to fame had always been intertwined with family. From early tours where cousins handled logistics, to personal advisors who doubled as family friends, everything about his career was family-centered. Yet, as the stakes grew higher, so did the pressures. Success brought scrutiny, and scrutiny brought conflict, as she continues. She reveals details that most fans had never heard. Jim Jones had made choices that alienated key family members. Decisions that were perhaps necessary for his career, but devastating for his personal life. The truth, she says, is a complicated web of ambition, loyalty, and betrayal. It wasn't just business, Jaguar emphasizes. It was personal. And it cut deeper than anyone could imagine. The video flashes clips of Jim Jones performing on massive stages, interspersed with archival photos of family gatherings, birthdays, holidays, moments that now feel bittersweet. Each image highlights what was lost, what was broken, and what could never be repaired. Viewers felt an emotional pull, admiration for his hustle, but sympathy for the man behind the legend. Jaguar Wright doesn't just stop at explaining the problem. She narrates her own involvement, her perspective, as someone close enough to the industry to witness the cracks forming. She talks about the conversations she overheard, the private moments when trust was tested, and the silent judgments that family members passed in his absence. The narrative is raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. She also hints at the consequences of these revelations. Fans online erupted in speculation, dissecting every word. Social media platforms became a battlefield with theories, memes, and heated debates flooding timelines. Some defended Jim Jones, citing the pressures of fame, while others criticized the choices that led to his isolation. The debate itself became part of the drama, a reflection of how celebrity culture magnifies personal struggles into public spectacle. But Jaguar Wright's most shocking revelation is yet to come. With a serious tone, she explains that the final severance came during a private family event, a dinner meant to celebrate success, but instead became the breaking point. Words were exchanged that could never be taken back. Alliances shifted, loyalties evaporated. And Jim Jones found himself alone, not by the streets, not by the industry, but by his own blood. The audience is left hanging, on the edge of their seats. How did it come to this? Could the rift be healed? And what role did Jaguar Wright play in bringing this story to light? Her honesty and courage in speaking out provide a dramatic twist. This isn't just gossip, it's a narrative of power, trust, and consequences. Viewers are left with a sense of anticipation. The stage is set for the deeper conflicts, the hidden betrayals, and the unfolding fallout that will dominate. What other secrets are buried in the shadows of fame? Who can be trusted in a world where loyalty is fragile and ambition is ruthless? Jaguar Wright's revelations promise answers, but only if the audience stays tuned. For now, the story is only beginning. Establishes the characters, the conflict, and the emotional stakes. Fans are hooked, emotionally invested, and eager to witness the next chapter of a saga that blends music, family drama, and shocking revelations like never before. The fallout from Jaguar Wright's revelation was immediate and intense. Fans across social media were stunned, replaying her words, dissecting every detail about Jim Jones being cut off by his own family. But the drama ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. Behind the glitz of the stage lights and the glamour of sold-out shows, a complex web of loyalty, jealousy, and betrayal was unraveling, one that nobody outside the inner circle had ever seen. It began quietly, almost invisibly. Someone Jim had trusted for years. A cousin who had once been a cornerstone of his career began siding with other family members during private conversations. Small disagreements, once easily brushed aside, now carried enormous weight. Jaguar Wright explained that this cousin's resentment had been brewing silently for years. Jealousy, ambition, and the constant pressure of living in the shadow of a rising star had slowly eroded the bond they once shared. The music industry amplified these tensions. Every public appearance, every collaboration, and every social media post became fodder for criticism. Fans and critics alike scrutinized Jim's actions, reading into missed calls, canceled appearances, and financial decisions as signs of disloyalty. Jaguar Wright's narration highlighted how fame, power, and family entangled themselves into a dangerous mix. A man who had survived street battles and industry rivalries now faced a more personal, more painful struggle, isolation from those who were supposed to stand by him. Jaguar recounted a family gathering meant to celebrate Jim's success. Instead of joy, the room was filled with tension. Conversations turned into arguments, smiles into judgmental glances. Words that had simmered under the surface for years finally exploded, leaving deep emotional scars. She described the subtle shifts in alliances, the whispered criticisms, and the silent resentment that had been growing unnoticed until it became undeniable. The industry reacted too. Peers, managers, and producers aware of the family drama began reassessing their loyalties. Some distanced themselves from Jim, fearing backlash or being dragged into the conflict. Others aligned with those they thought would emerge victorious. In the music business, Jaguar emphasized, perception often matters more than reality, and when personal relationships fracture, professional ones are rarely far behind. One of the most gripping moments she revealed was a private conversation she had with Jim Jones after the fallout. He admitted the pain of being severed from his family was unlike anything he had experienced, tougher than a career setback or a public controversy. "I've faced every battle in the streets, survived the charts, and confronted rivals," he told her quietly. "But losing them? Losing my own family. That's something I never imagined." Jaguar's recounting showed a side of Jim rarely seen: vulnerable, human, and painfully aware of the personal cost of fame that is the story unfolded. Jaguar exposed the reasons behind the family's actions. Some feared Jim's growing influence would overshadow their own roles in the industry or community. Others resented how fame had changed him, how his lifestyle and priorities diverged from the family's expectations. A few were influenced by external advisors, fellow artists, or friends who saw opportunity in the divide, subtly encouraging estrangement. Fans were shocked to realize that fame and power came with unforeseen consequences. Jim Jones' personal struggle became inseparable from his professional life. Trust was fragile, loyalty conditional, and every decision carried immense weight. Jaguar Wright painted a vivid picture of the stakes involved every alliance. Every conversation, every choice had ripple effects, sometimes devastating ones. One particularly tense moment she shared involved a phone call between Jim and his cousin. Words were exchanged that could never be taken back. Accusations, defensive rebuttals, and a painful realization that reconciliation might no longer be possible. Fans felt the emotional intensity of that exchange, imagining the heartbreak and disillusionment that followed. Social media further magnified the drama. Harmless posts were twisted into evidence of disloyalty. Fans speculated endlessly, creating memes, threads, and heated debates. Jim Jones found himself isolated not only from his family but also under the unrelenting scrutiny of the public. Every action, whether professional or personal, was analyzed and criticized, making the rift feel even larger and more permanent. Jaguar reflected on her own perspective, emphasizing that her role was not to exploit the drama, but to reveal the truth. She observed, commented, and explained, giving viewers insight into the human side of the story. Her honesty added depth, showing that behind every headline was a man grappling with loss, betrayal, and the heavy cost of fame. By the end of the narrative, the stakes were higher than ever. The combination of personal betrayal and professional consequences left Jim in a precarious position. Fans were left questioning his next move. Could he repair fractured family ties? Who could be trusted moving forward? And what secrets might still be buried, waiting to emerge in the next chapter of this unfolding saga? The story promised more revelations, hidden alliances, behind-the-scenes maneuvers, and shocking truths that could redefine Jim Jones' career and personal life were still to come. The tension built, anticipation grew, and Jaguar Wright's fearless exposure left the audience desperate for answers. Every revelation, every betrayal, and every emotional moment had set the stage for the next sequence of events, one where the consequences of ambition, fame, and fractured loyalty would collide in ways no one expected. The saga was far from over, and fans were hooked, waiting for the next chapter of a story that mixed music, family drama, and shocking truth like never before. The tension was reaching its peak. What had started as subtle friction within Jim Jones' family had now erupted into full-blown drama, and the repercussions were spilling into every corner of his life. Jaguar Wright's revelations had ignited a firestorm, and the ripple effects were being felt across the music industry. Behind the scenes, alliances were shifting. Old friends were reevaluating loyalties, and the very foundation of trust Jim had built over years was cracking. Jaguar described the moment. Everything truly began to unravel. A private meeting intended to discuss family business turned hostile. Voices rose, accusations flew, and long-held grudges came to the surface. One relative, once seen as a mediator, openly challenged Jim's decisions, questioning his motives and the choices that had shaped his career. It was a shocking scene, one that left Jim visibly shaken and everyone else in stunned silence. Jaguar emphasized that these were not superficial disputes. They were deeply personal, laced with betrayal and disappointment that had festered for years. The fallout extended beyond the family. Industry peers, watching the story unfold, began taking sides. Some distanced themselves from Jim, wary of being caught in the crossfire. Others aligned with those they believed held power over the narrative. Even collaborators who had once been loyal found themselves reevaluating their positions. In the entertainment world, perception is often more influential than reality, and this crisis made it painfully clear. Every move, every public appearance, and every interview became a calculated decision. A test of loyalty and resilience. Jaguar Wright, known for her boldness and unfiltered perspective, provided a unique lens into the chaos. She recounted private conversations with Jim, moments where he revealed the emotional toll of being abandoned by his own family. "I thought I'd seen it all," he confessed, "but nothing prepares you for this kind of isolation." These moments humanized the star, exposing a side rarely seen by fans, a man grappling with both personal and professional betrayal, uncertain whom to trust, and painfully aware of the consequences of fame. The drama escalated when social media erupted. Fans dissected every word, every photo, and every hint of tension. Online forums became battlefields, with theories, heated debates, and viral posts further complicating the narrative. Some defended Jim, praising his perseverance despite personal setbacks. Others criticized decisions they believed had caused the rift. Jaguar explained how this digital amplification intensified the personal pain, creating a feedback loop where private struggles became public spectacle. One of the most shocking developments involved a longtime collaborator who had chosen to align with certain family members. This betrayal, unexpected and cutting, threatened not only Jim's career trajectory, but also his sense of self. Jaguar Wright described the moment she saw him confronting reality, a blend of anger, disbelief, and vulnerability. It was a pivotal turning point, where the line between professional challenges and personal heartbreak blurred completely. Jaguar also explored the subtle pressures of legacy and expectation. Jim Jones had spent years building an empire, cultivating a public persona that exuded strength and invincibility. But in private, the cracks were evident. Every decision, every misstep, every misunderstood gesture now carried the weight of familial judgment. She highlighted how ambition and fame, while providing opportunities, also amplified scrutiny and magnified conflicts that might have otherwise remained manageable. The narrative reached a critical moment when a confrontation between Jim and his estranged family occurred. In public view, an unplanned encounter that neither side anticipated. Cameras captured tense stares, whispered exchanges, and the silent acknowledgement of a rift that might never fully heal. Fans were left stunned, debating the motivations and choices of each party. Jaguar's insight provided clarity. The fallout was not driven by malice alone, but by a complex mix of pride, loyalty, misunderstanding, and the harsh realities of navigating fame while maintaining personal relationships. Jaguar Wright didn't just recount events. She provided analysis and reflection. She emphasized how these experiences shaped Jim Jones not only as an artist, but as a person. The isolation forced him to confront his vulnerabilities, reconsider his alliances, and reevaluate the meaning of loyalty. For the audience, this was more than celebrity drama. It was a study of human behavior under pressure, a raw glimpse into the consequences of ambition intertwined with personal relationships. As the story unfolded, Jaguar teased revelations yet to come, hidden family maneuvers, unexpected allies stepping forward, and shocking disclosures that could redefine Jim Jones' public image. Fans were left on edge, knowing that the saga was far from over. Every revelation, every confrontation, and every calculated move set the stage for the climax, a series of decisions and consequences that would determine the future of both. Jim Jones and Jaguar Wright in ways nobody had predicted. The tension, Jaguar noted, was not only about personal betrayal, it was about reputation, legacy, and the intricate dance of power within the music industry. Those who wield influence carefully observe each interaction, ready to exploit weakness or offer support depending on the shifting tides. In this environment, personal relationships and professional alliances were inseparable, and mistakes could be costly. By the end of the story, the emotional and professional stakes were higher than ever. The audience could feel the weight of every choice, the depth of every betrayal, and the intensity of every unresolved tension. Jim Jones, once seen as untouchable, was humanized through vulnerability, strategic thinking, and the raw emotions of confronting family fracture. Jaguar Wright's fearless commentary not only illuminated the drama, but also provided a roadmap for understanding how fame and personal relationships collide in dramatic, often unpredictable ways. As the narrative closed, fans were left anticipating the final chapter, the ultimate fallout, the resolution of hidden tensions, and the shocking truths that would either restore balance or irrevocably change the landscape of Jim Jones' life and career. The story was far from over, and the promise of more revelations kept the audience hooked, eager for the next turn in a saga of fame, betrayal, and the unrelenting pursuit of loyalty in a world where trust is fragile and ambition is relentless. The storm had reached its peak. After weeks of tension, confrontations, and whispered betrayals, the world was watching closely. Fans, friends, and industry insiders have been following every twist, every revelation shared by Jaguar Wright, and now the moment of truth had arrived. It was time to confront the fallout, both personal and professional, and see whether trust, loyalty, and family ties could ever be restored. Jaguar Wright recounted the critical events that set the stage for resolution. A private meeting was arranged, an attempt to bridge the chasm between Jim Jones and his estranged family. The atmosphere was heavy, each participant aware of the history, the anger, and the disappointment that had accumulated over time. Words were exchanged cautiously at first, polite attempts at reconciliation masking years of tension. But beneath the surface, the raw emotions could not be contained. Jim Jones, though visibly guarded, spoke openly about his feelings. "I've built an empire, faced rivals, and survived battles the streets threw at me," he said, voice steady but tinged with emotion. "But nothing prepared me for losing the support of the people who should have been my foundation." The words were powerful, resonating not just with the family in the room, but also with fans who had been watching the saga unfold online. Jaguar Wright described the reactions from his family. Some were moved, recognizing the pain and isolation Jim had endured. Others were resistant, clinging to long-held grievances and refusing to let go of past disappointments. It was a tense balancing act. Emotions fluctuated between anger, regret, and cautious hope. Every gesture, every nod, and every spoken word carried weight. Rebuilding trust, Jaguar emphasized, is never simple, and sometimes reconciliation requires more than apologies. It requires time, patience, and understanding that the fallout in the music industry was just as intense. Collaborators and peers who had watched the drama from the sidelines began reevaluating their positions. Some stepped forward, offering support, while others quietly retreated, wary of reigniting tensions or being caught in controversy. Jaguar Wright highlighted the lessons learned in an industry driven by perception and reputation. Personal turmoil can quickly spill over into professional consequences, forcing artists to navigate a delicate web of relationships, loyalty, and strategy. As the story continued, Jaguar revealed the smaller, quieter moments that were just as significant as the public confrontations. Private conversations, handwritten notes, and sincere gestures of apology played a crucial role in the slow process of mending fractured ties. Fans, she explained, rarely see these moments, yet they are vital in shaping the true outcome of the drama. It was in these quiet exchanges that real understanding and healing began to take place. Yet, the saga was far from simple or entirely resolved. Some family members chose not to reconcile, maintaining distance despite Jim's efforts. Others cautiously reconnected, seeking to rebuild trust gradually. Jaguar Wright emphasized that this is the reality of human relationships: complex, imperfect, and often unpredictable. Even amidst fame and success, personal bonds remain fragile, and the consequences of past decisions linger. The story also explored the emotional growth of Jim Jones. Through this tumultuous period, He learned valuable lessons about family, loyalty, and the importance of setting boundaries. Jaguar highlighted that while fame can bring power and influence, it also magnifies personal vulnerabilities. Navigating these pressures requires resilience, honesty, and self-reflection. Jim's journey became not only a tale of public drama, but also a deeply personal story of learning, growth, and the ongoing quest for understanding and balance. By the end of the saga, the audience witnessed a mixture of closure and ongoing tension, while some wounds remained and some relationships could not be fully repaired. Others found new paths toward understanding and cooperation. Fans were left with a sense of resolution, but also a reminder of the complexities of human connections, particularly when fame and family collide. Jaguar Wright's fearless storytelling allowed viewers to see the human side of Jim Jones, the challenges behind the headlines, and the resilience required to navigate both public scrutiny and private betrayal. The final scenes painted a nuanced picture: a man who had faced unimaginable pressures, a family struggling to reconcile love with disappointment, and an industry watching closely as the personal became public. It was a story of power, vulnerability, and the delicate balance between ambition and loyalty. Jaguar Wright's revelations had sparked outrage, empathy, and debate, leaving fans more connected to the human realities behind celebrity life than ever before. If you were surprised by Jaguar Wright's revelations, you're not alone. This story is more than just celebrity drama. It's a lesson in trust, loyalty, and the consequences of choices that ripple through every part of life. What happened to Jim Jones shows that even the most powerful, most successful people can face heartbreak and betrayal. Fame does not shield anyone from the complexities of family, friendship, or human emotion. We want to hear what you think. Could Jim Jones have handled this differently? Do you believe family ties should have been prioritized over career decisions? Or was this an inevitable consequence of ambition? How do you feel about Jaguar Wright stepping forward to reveal these truths? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters, and every discussion adds to the story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want more deep dive stories like this, exploring the hidden lives of artists and the untold drama behind the music industry. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of breaking news, shocking revelations, or exclusive interviews. Remember, this story isn't just about Jim Jones or Jaguar Wright. It's about loyalty, ambition, and the choices we all face when relationships collide with life in the spotlight. Stay tuned, because the next story might just be even more shocking than this one.